Exactly 1 o'clock on the nose on your right hand time for the day's reports in general news, business and sports. This is KBC Lunchtime News. I'm Doreen. Arange Caroline Joroge is our sign language interpreter. President William Ruto has met the President of the European Union Council, Antonio Costa, on the sidelines of the 7th African Union and European Union Summit in Luanda, Angola. In the meeting, President Ruto congratulated President Costa for assuming office as the 4th President of the Council and pledged a stronger working relationship between Kenya and the European Union. The summit's discussions are focused on regional security and collaboration between Africa and the EU.
Very generous.
Yeah, but congratulations on your election, and we really look forward to working with you. President Michel was a good friend of ours. We worked with him, and we know that you're picking up from a good place, and you will make it better. We are very confident about that. So thank you very much for this.
Residents of Ododa Estate in Migori County are protesting a planned eviction to make way for an affordable housing project. The aggrieved residents claim they bought the land decades ago and accuse the land officials of blocking their ownership documents. Migori County officials maintain the land is public property already allocated for the housing project.
His Excellency was concerned that he is doing affordable houses in other parts of Migori County, but he's not seeing any breakthrough within Migori town, because that is the headquarters of Migori. And therefore, we gave suggestions, because that is part of our parcel, that can be used specifically for that. Because again, it will change the look and even how the town looks like, and everything that comes with the benefits of affordable houses.
Niliingia hapa kama bado ni kijana. Nilinunua hapa na nimesekea hapa. Nililipa nyumba shilingi 15. Ilikuwa nyumba hapa za nyasi. Hapa ilikuwa msituni. Na tangu siku hiyo yote, maisha yangu yote, hata nguvu yangu imeishia hapa. Sasa ni kusikitika ya kwamba ati wanasema tunaweza kutoka hapa. Na pahali tunatoka tuende hapa ndio kwetu, ndio tumesekea, wengine wamekufa. Sasa tunashindwa, kama hapa ndio tulijua ni kwetu, tunaambiwa tutoke tuende kwetu wapi, na hapa ndio tumesekea.
To some politics now, and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says 2 UDA aspirants from Malava constituency who lost in the party primaries have been given diplomatic postings to Uganda and South Africa. This is after they agreed to support David Ndakwa, the ruling party's candidate for the Malava constituency by-election slated for this coming Thursday. These and more stories in the political wrap.
Speaking in Malava constituency on the final day of campaigns ahead of the by-elections coming up later on Thursday, Musalia disclosed the appointment of Simon Kangwana, who was picked as an education attaché in the Kenyan mission in Uganda, and Ryan Njedi Malulu as a trade attaché in the Kenyan embassy in South Africa.
Following the creation of the Office of Education Attaché at Kampala, Uganda, the following person is therefore hereby nominated for posting to the office: Mr. Simon Kangwana Chimuche.
The ministry has proposed the appointment of Mr. Ryan Njedi Malulu to the position of Head Attaché at the Kenyan Embassy in Pretoria, Republic of South Africa.
Musalia saying President William Ruto had promised the due of government positions after they offered to back UDA candidate David Ndakwa for the Malava parliamentary seat.
Mimi nasukuma haya kwa sababu nilikuwa nataka mjue kwamba tukiahidi tunatenda.
Another aspirant, Leonard Shimaka, Musalia said he was appointed last month as a commissioner at the Kenya Revenue Authority.
Kwa hivyo mtu asijaribu kusema kwamba hii kura ni watu wa Malava against Mudavadi. Hii kura ni watu wa Malava against so and so. Hii kura ni ya watu wa Malaba. So the decision is in your hands.
UDA's Ndako is battling Seth Panyako of DAP Kenya.
Huyu Ndako ameomba, amezungumza. Oparanya ameomba. Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ameomba. Wetangula ameomba. Sisi wote tumeomba.
Kaya! Humani!
In Kilifi County, the Mijikenda Kaya elders have announced plans to unveil a coastal-based political party in January 2026 as part of a wider effort to redefine the region's political trajectory ahead of the 2027 general election.
Na tunataka tuwe sawa, manake hii ni Kenya huru. Sasa uhuru uwe na kila mtu Kenya hii. Si uhuru uwe na watu wawili watatu, hapana. Tunataka kila mtu awe na uhuru.
They said the move is due to lack of a strong homegrown political party since the death of former cabinet minister Karisa Maitha. Giverson Maina, Lunchtime News.
Community-based organizations and local human rights activists in Garbatula Ward, Isiolo County, have intensified campaigns to curb an anticipated rise of female genital mutilation during the December school holidays. Every Girl's Dream, a community-based organization operating in the region, has been leading awareness caravans, barazas, and using local community radio stations to highlight the health risks and legal consequences associated with the outlawed practice. According to Aisha Hussein Roba, the founder of Every Girl's Dream, the focus is on locations considered high risks where FGM is common. Residents acknowledge community attitudes are slowly shifting, with more people supporting the anti-FGM campaign.
We've been able to debate for quite a long time, but we feel the need of constantly engaging these people on the issues of FGM because they are still holding on to the culture and they feel like it's a very sacred culture that has been there for a very long time and they are not ready to give it up anytime.
Watu wameanza campaign ya kuweza kuangamiza, lakini itachukua muda. Tunataka mafunzo kwa wingi na ingie si hapa Garbatula peke yake, ingie mpaka mashinani ili tuweze kukomesha. Changamoto ni nyingi. Changamoto ya kwanza tumefunzwa ya kuwa hii mtoto akikatwa hiyo kitu kujifungua ni shida na pia anaweza bleed to death.
Tutapiga vita mwenye anafanya hiyo kazi na tutawahi fanya hiyo kazi na tutaeleza kila mahali na tutapeleka ujumbe kila mahali ya kwamba hiyo ni kuumiza wasichana.
Stakeholders in Kenya's private security sector have urged the government to fast-track the enactment of the Private Security Regulations 2025. They say the move will finally enable full implementation of the Private Security Regulation Act of 2016. During a public participation forum in Nyeri County, industry representatives welcomed the draft regulations as a long overdue step that will enhance oversight, professional standards and accountability. The proposed rules mandate the licensing of all security providers, requiring accredited training for guards, strict vetting and a ban on the possession of firearms. Officials say the framework will streamline operations and align the sector with the national law.
There have been controversies here and there how the private security guard operates. We have had some operating without license. You know, bila license. There are some that want to resemble or want to behave like the police. So no, to the extent that even cause confusion.
In Naivasha, Nakuru County, more than 4,000 families in Kihoto area are affected by the rising waters of Lake Naivasha, and they have vowed that they will not move out of the estate amid reports of planned eviction by the state. Lakeview Ward Member of County Assembly Alex Mbugua criticized the possibility of eviction without compensation, arguing that many residents were business owners, civil servants and retirees who built their homes using lifelong savings. He said it was contradictory for the government to disown land it once helped formalize through the issuance of genuine title deeds, as well as decades of investments in roads, power lines and water systems.
kuna wale ambao wamefanya heavy investment, kuna wale ambao wamezaliwa hapa Kehoto. Wanapoambiwa siku ya leo watoke hapa Kehoto bila nafasi ama mahara mbadala, wanaambiwa waende. Niombe ya kwamba serikali for the first time isikize hawa wananchi. Ukiwaambia wote wahame, unawaambia wahame waende wapi?
Karibu zaidi ya miaka 60. Sasa leo ndio wanasema ya kwamba hatustahili kuwa hapa. Na yale maneno inanenwa hatuhusishwi mahali pale. Kwa hivyo ni watu ambaye sio watu wa Kehoto, wanakaa chini kuelezana ile mambo haistahili.
Mtu akituambia tu muamka asubuhi muende, tunaenda wapi? Wametupea mahali pa kwenda. Wametupea mahali pa kwenda hata kama biashara yetu watu wetu wameama. Sasa hiyo sio suluhisho. Ni heri watuambie tunaenda mahali capital ndio hii ya kwenda kuanzishia biashara.
Women from Elwak in Kenya and Somalia have united to push for peace and raise concern over the rising cases of Tarhib, the illegal migration of youth through dangerous routes stretching from Nairobi to Addis Ababa. In a meeting convened by Boresha Nabad, the women condemned the growing influence of human trafficking networks, including Magafe and Mukalas, which they say are tearing families apart. They also shared heartbreaking stories of young people recruited, abducted, or injured while attempting to migrate, underscoring the heavy human toll on these perilous journeys.
The women, actually, they picked it very fast, and they have actually learned a lot of things. Some of the issues are the current issues which is moving on, like the Tahrir, like for deforestation and poaching within Madera County. And they have really picked it, and they have promised that we will continue campaigning for these activities. And they promise that they will work also with the administrations, securities in the two countries.
Mesema no, tumesimama mbele yake. Sisi hatutaki mambo ya tahrib. Tahrib ni mambo mbaya sana. Kuna wamama wanalia saa hii, sasa watoto wao wanauliwa huko.
Shukrani zangu zinawaendea wale wafadhili wa Boresha Nabad. Shukrani zangu ziweze kuwafikia, maana tumejifunza mambo mengi na mazuri ambayo itatusaidia. Hatukuwa tunajua kuwa haya mambo yanaendelea, na wamama pia wanajua na walikuwa wamefinyika.
We say no.
Concerns have been raised over deteriorating road safety measures following 2 fatal weekend accidents in Machakos and Makueni counties that claimed 10 lives. Road safety experts are blaming non-compliance by truck owners involved in collision with public service vehicles. Road Safety Association of Kenya Chairman David Kiare said both trucks involved in the crashes lacked speed limiters, accusing inspection centers of laxity.
Wale watu wanastahili kukagua hizi magari. Badala ya kukagua gari ni pesa. Akipewa pesa amekagua gari. Na sheria ziko sawa, standard iko sawa, lakini mtu anakosa kufanya kazi yake, alafu tunabaki tukilia. Na tumekuwa na complaint kuzungumza mambo ya hizi lori. Tukasema lori hazipelekwi inspection.
Had a meeting with the acting director general. If you look straight into her eye, she is ready to embrace road safety. Completely ready to work with stakeholders. Use the word authority. Not going to bed with some fellows masquerading as suppliers.
Elsewhere, civil society organizations in the country have renewed calls for accountability in governance by the East African Community member states. The CSOs, among them the Kenya Human Rights Commission and Transparency International, decried what they described as a growing trend of transitional repression within the East African community, referring to the alleged violation of human rights during the Tanzania's October general elections, as well as the case where 2 Kenyans were recently detained in Uganda. The human rights defenders who spoke at Raila's gravesite in Bondo, Siaya County, further challenged the EAC member states to embrace the leadership of accountability.
Courage, and it's really to just give also our appreciation to the family, and also to say that even as much as Baba is gone, the spirit and the vision that he had for a free Kenya, liberated Kenya, for the third liberation, that we continue with that agenda in the work and interventions that we continue to do.
And even as Tanzania faces the atrocities it is facing, I think today Kenyan civil society have written to African human rights mechanism to come in.
What is happening in Uganda, in Tanzania, is a state of repression, which is targeting not just Kenyans, but also other residents. So we are looking at this as part of the broader issue of transnational repression, and we are therefore calling for accountability on Suluhu, because its conduct actually is a gross violation of human rights.
And the Kenya Airports Authority Chairperson Caleb Kositani has urged universities in Kenya to introduce pilot training courses at the bachelor's degree level within aviation management programs to help meet the country's growing aviation industry. Speaking during the launch of a new partnership between the Kenya School of Flying and Baraton University of East Africa at JKIA, Kositani said the country is experiencing an acute shortage of pilots and has to engage foreigners for a job that can be done by Kenyans. He noted that the shortage has led to delays in both local and international flights, affecting the overall growth and competitiveness of Kenya's aviation industry. Kositani emphasized that Kenya remains a leading aviation hub in the region, and expanding pilot training opportunities at the university level would help strengthen the industry's capacity and support future economic growth.
Aviation management is one of those programs that we can have many young people come into, since the need for pilots is a need that is all over. You know, when you train pilots, you don't just train them for the Kenyan population or Kenya as a country, but you train them for the world as a whole.
A course such as this one is particularly important because it gives both the pilots themselves as well as other professions the skills, the attitude, the knowledge, as well as the practical experience to navigate safety environment within airports.
We are very, very far and very dynamic in aviation, and this is going to be an extra feather on this field.
Other airlines are growing big every day. The aviation industry is growing bigger every day, and the competition is stiff. So we are in the right track as Kenya in training our youth, those who are interested in aviation. As Kenya Airports Authority, we are providing aviation schools. One of the busiest airports in Africa is Wilson Airport.
Kisumu County has launched its statistical abstract to guide resource allocations in the current financial year of 2025-2026. Kisumu Deputy Governor Dr. Matthews Owili says the move is part of an elaborate scheme to promote data-driven growth and development. The document will be key in identifying underfunded sectors and departments as the Lakeside County strives to realize universal development across its 35 wards. Owili told Kisumu residents to interact with the document, which has since been uploaded on the county's government website.
Today, as we launch the Kisumu County Statistical Abstract 2024.
The statistical abstract we have launched here today can tell us exactly how many ECD centers, for example, that we have in the county. It can also show us the areas within the county of Kisumu where there is there is acute shortage of those centers, which means when we are planning in that Department of Education, then we know where to build the ECD centers. Think about roads, for example. How many roads in the sub-counties are motorable? Okay? The statistics is now here. So we can do an intervention based on some kind of what? On some kind of information.
It is a document that is seriously needed to help them in putting resources where it would matter most.
And now to our weekly feature, Military Tales. Our focus this afternoon is on retired Kenya Senior Sergeant, that is John Olesuntu, as prepared by our very own Ben Troy Njue. Watch.
We drive about 20 kilometers from Eldoret City to Kipsamo village in Kapseret constituency. Here we are welcomed by one former Kenya Army officer, Warrant Officer 2 retired Richard Kipkoril Tinga, who served for over 3 decades.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Richard Kipkoril Cheruiyot Tinga. Nilisaliwa Nandi District, pande wa Aldai huko Kapsabet huko.
As a young boy, Tinga joined Kapso Primary School and Samoei Secondary School before joining the army in 1978.
Niliajiriwa jeshi tarehe 1 mwezi wa 3 1978, ambaye niliandikiwa Kapsabet Nandi District, na nika train Langata Barracks which is 7 care. Nikamaliza training, nikapostiwa nikaenda Nanyuki Barracks ambaye ni 10 engineers, ambaye sasa tunaweza sema tulikurutiwa ama tuliandikwa na hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
In his first assignment, he was a driver in the 10th Engineers Battalion in Nanyuki, where he also got his first promotion.
Mimi nilienda pale nikaanza kwanza kama driver, ordinary driver. In fact, nilikuwa naendesha CEO yangu ambaye ni retired Major General Warutere. 86 nilikuja Thika na hiyo rank hiyo ya kopro. 89 na kupelekwa mpaka Isiolo School of Combat Engineers. Aka huko mwaka moja nikiwa na sima. After kukaa mwaka moja nikarutiswa back to 10 engineers Nanyuki. My mother unit ambaye nilianzia na maisha yangu. Nikarutiswa hapo kutoka 89 nikaja tu nikasimamia magari. Nimewacha sasa kuendesha, sasa nikawa in charge ya transport. Mimi nikafaa rank of senior sergeant, nikiwa hiyo Nanyuki hiyo, nikafaa rank of warrant officer 2, ambaye hiyo rank nilikaa naye nikiwa MTO for 15 years.
Having been employed in the 70s and served under 4 presidents, he points out the changes, especially on the welfare of soldiers over the years.
Moi wakati aliingia, pesa ikaongezwa, ikasonga juu. Wakati Kibaki aliingia, pesa ikaongezwa, ikasonga juu. Wakati Jusi Uhuru ameingia, pesa imeongezwa. Wakati huo mambo ya panga haikukua. Yes, tulikuwa tuna save pesa kwa posta.
34 years in the forces, he points out march and shoot exercises that tried every during his illustrious
march and shoot. Isiolo, nilienda march and shoot ambaye nilienda wakati nilirute kambi, hata nilikuwa nimechange. Nilikuwa nimekuwa nyeusi. Mambo ya kuwa brown iliisha. Yani nikifika tunatembea usiku na mchana, ambaye tukiletewa hata chakula ati hii ni lunch, mimi natafuta mahali iko kifuli na usingizi. Chakula haingii. Mnapumzika mchana, lakini ikifika saa 12 jioni mwendo wenu ni ya usiku. Hakuna kufunga macho na mwananchi. Mnaweza toka, tuseme kutoka Eldoreti mwende mpaka Nakuru ama over Nakuru, bio Nakuru, bila kufunga macho na mwananchi, bila kupumzika. Uko na misiko yako umepepa, uko na punduki umepepa, uko na risasi yako umepepa, na hivi vitu yote ni nzito. So unaenda mpaka mguu umefaa kiato namna umefaa, lakini mguu chini inachupuka.
In 2005, Tinga was among soldiers in the United Nations Peace Mission in Eritrea and reminds Kenyans on the essence of peace.
Kama inawezekana tuishi na amani namna tunaishi, pale watu wako na shida hawana amani, wako na shida, kila kitu ni shida, kupata chakula ni tabu, pale hakuna mambo ya kusema ati iko sheria, watu wanauana. Kuua mtu sio problem, uko kuua mtu sio shida. Tukiwa wana Kenya tunakaa vizuri, ambaye mimi hata kama nimekuja nyumbani ningewaomba ya kwamba wajue inji ambaye iko na msosano ama mafarakano hakuna maendeleo yoyote.
The former Army Motor Transport Officer MTO advises young serving soldiers to remain true to country and duty.
Mimi ningetaka discipline ya military ipaki namna ilikuwa. Namna tulikuta na namna tuliwacha, ningependa iendelee hivyo ndio tuwe na china mzuri ya jeshi ni discipline.
A family man and father of 4 acknowledges his family support for over the 3 decades he served in the army.
As much as nilikuwa natuma pesa, but nilipata bibi mzuri ambaye alijua ya kwamba mzee ako kazi na mzee atarudi nyumbani. Kazi nyingi ni yeye amefanya. Mimi tu nimekuja kumsupport. Na kwa familia kwangu Mungu amenijalia na watoto 4. Niko na wasichana 2 na vijana 2. Jana yangu hakuna mtu yote ametaka military. Asante. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nimeshukuru.
Tinga, who was ailing, passed on a few months after this interview. And even though he's gone, every mile he drove was a testament of his unwavering commitment, and the impact of his dedication will echo on every road we travel. Rest in peace, Tinga. For Military Tales, I'm Ben Troinjue.
Thank you, Ben Troinjue, for that. And now we take a very quick breather. We come back with more, including business and sports. Stay with us.
When the hills gave way in Marquette, thousands were left with nothing. But together, we can help them rise again. Join KBC in the Restore Hope, Restore Earth campaign, Unity in Adversity. Together for Marquette. Donate through paybill number 522533, account number 8036543, or drop foodstuffs and supplies at Marquette County offices. Every shilling, every tree, every act of kindness counts. KBC, bringing Kenyans together.
Auntie, please nifungulie gate niende.
Wazazi wangu wangekuwa walevi na wanipenda.
Failures. Mtapata shida hapa mpaka mtamani kifo. Nisho mshukuru wenyu Andrea. Shigwa ya university. Shiru shikadu shemno. Haiduwe.
Welcome back to some business news now. And engineers won the public-private partnership policy reviewed to ring-fence the participation of graduate engineers in all mega infrastructure projects. The Institutions of Engineers of Kenya President Shama Kiteme says excluding young engineers from flagship national projects is worsening unemployment and weakening Kenya's long-term engineering capacity. Regina Manyara with the details.
Good afternoon to you, Doreen. To you live from Mombasa. This is Pride In, and this is, where we're going to be having, or rather where we are having a week-long engagement, not only with the engineering fraternity, but also members of industry and academia who are in this particular value chain. The convention is tuned towards the roadmap, or rather creating a roadmap for future engineering driven by technology, looking at emerging issues such as climate change. But to further put this into perspective, being day one of this particular convention, I'm joined by none other than the president of IEK, that is Engineer Shama Kiteme, as well as the chairperson of Future Leaders. Karibu sana. So it is day one, Bwana President, and you've already given your feed in regard to what you think the roadmap is. Maybe you can give us just a quick role that the young engineers are expected to play in the futuristic Kenya in this particular niche.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. We are here in Pride in Paradise. We started our 32nd IEK International Convention with Future Leaders Summit. Now, the future to the young. And so the young engineers have taken to look at how the future will be and their critical role. We have to take our role and our place in the infrastructure space because we need this. Kenya needs to invest aggressively in manufacturing, industrialization. We need to invest aggressively to make sure that we transform our agriculture. Is a space that we have agricultural engineers, we have water engineers who are looking forward to having dams, having water pans to make sure that we embed technology in agriculture. Now, this is critical because we need to address the problems that this country faces, and the conversations we are having right here in Mombasa is to make sure that engineers play the critical role to transform this country. We address the problems that our nation faces.
All right. There's been conversation around wanting to ring fence the partnership model to have it also consider the participation of graduate engineers so that they can get the practical skills and scale up, to get to that particular proposal.
This is a very critical element. We have PPP projects being rolled out in this country, an innovative financing model to make sure that we realize infrastructure. Young engineers should have an opportunity to learn, be involved in infrastructure projects, because then we are preparing them to be the experts of the future. We do not want to have infrastructure where we do not have local capacity to continue sustaining it when it is done. And therefore, involvement of young engineers is critical, because then we make them have the experience, know-how, to be able to maintain the infrastructure which is complete and done. We are seeing a lot of infrastructure projects the government is rolling out, and we're excited about this because this is opportunities for engineers. But young engineers have to be involved so that they are part of implementing the infrastructure and they are not mere spectators.
Now let's hear from those who are in this particular space. Engineer Ingaza, you are leading Future Leaders in Engineers. From where you sit, what is the main priority gap of having young engineers actually take part fully in this particular value chain?
So far, we do have, we can't say that we do have a priority gap, but since we do have the young engineers from the school, we start from the primary school because now we are taking on the STEM, and then we go to the high schools and then to the university. So, and the disciplines, as you said, we have a civil, we do have mechanical, we do have electrical, and so far the disciplines are growing. It's been concerned, the field of engineering is too wide, and we have now the gap in terms of now being the engineer and being creative and being the innovative, so that they can be entrepreneur by themselves and come and create so much job and also not prioritizing only now being employed, but also having more work as an engineer, as an entrepreneur.
A push and drive to focus as, entrepreneurship and manufacturing for engineers. Now, the big question is, we're seeing there are very female engineers in this particular value chain. As a future leader from where you sit, what do you think needs to be done to narrow the gap?
One of the things that we really want to do, or we are doing it, is and we take mentorship to the girls' schools, and be that girls' schools. Remember, this is the initiative that we've started. So far, now the young girls really wants to come in and have be a technical, and most of them do have interest in the technical field. So these are the things that we've been doing from now the high schools, making sure that we are reaching out to the young girls, telling them about the field of engineering, and also through now that university also try at least to mentor them in terms of knowing that they are supposed to be leaders, young leaders, girls. That is, yeah.
Very well said. That's just but a quick summary of day one of this particular convention. It is the 32nd IK convention here, and engineering for the future, the roadmap for Kenya. Stakeholders here include not only engineers, but also members of industry and government representatives. And going forward, it is the issues that they are looking at is to have the full inclusion, especially of budding young graduate engineers take part in the projects that we are having in the country. We'll continue keeping tabs on this particular convention. So from Mombasa, I hand it over to you, Doreen Arange, back to Broadcasting House.
Thank you, Ray Manyara, for that. And this is a 4-day conference beginning today all the way to 28th November. And the theme, Engineering the Future. And our very own Ray Manyara is our eyes and ears in Mombasa County for this conference. Back to studio. Family Bank Group has reported 3.6 billion shillings in net profit during the first 9 months of 2025, which represents a 55.8% year-on-year growth. The profit was driven by higher interest income.
Assets increased from 163.2 billion shillings to 202.6 billion shillings. This was mainly driven by higher net loans and advances to customers, which rose 10.1% to 103.7 billion shillings. From this, the lender booked 17.7 billion shillings in total interest income, powered by higher earnings on loans and advances and government securities, which increased 11.9 billion shillings and 5.6 billion shillings respectively. In addition, total non-interest income increased 14.4% to 3.8 billion shillings, powered by fees and commissions.
Over 92% of our transactions are happening digitally. We have invested heavily in our digital platforms, our mobile platforms, our internet banking, other payment solutions, collection solutions that we are giving to our customers, so that we can leave our physical branches just as service and sales centers.
Even though total interest expenses reduced 2.9% to 6.77 billion shillings, this was not enough to offset other expenses that saw the total operating expenses rising by a third to 10.24 billion shillings. This was mainly on account of higher staff costs after Family Bank opened a new branch in Kilifi and relocated its Ngara branch in Nairobi.
In June, year 2021, our balance sheet closed 100 billion mark. Today, we are looking at 202, meaning in 4 years, we've managed to double the size of Family Bank.
The increased lending came at the cost of gross non-performing loans, and advances increased from 14.7 billion shillings to 15.6 billion shillings. This prompted Family Bank to more than double the loan loss provision from 585.5 million shillings to 1.36 billion shillings. Sylvia Gatti for Lunchtime News.
4 genetically modified food crops are ready for national trials and release after their concept was approved by the National Biosafety Authority. Kenya University Biotechnology Consortium Chair Richard Odwor says commercialization of maize, cassava, potato and sorghum genetically modified varieties will go a long way in reducing the cost of production and increasing yields.
Maize resistant to striga weed, cassava resistant to the brown disease, blight resistant potato and drought resistant sorghum are among the genetically modified crops that are set for national performance trials. Scientists say the GMO crops have undergone various tests, yielding positive results.
What our challenge really is that we have a lot of proof of concept and transgenic seeds that now need to leave the lab, which is the containment, to move into the confined field trials and eventually go into the national performing trials and then commercialize for the Kenya.
Genetically modified potato and cassava will reduce post-harvest losses by introducing genes with longer shelf life.
Pathway or that process of producing that secondary metabolite in cassava is what you slow down through the genome editing so that its production is not high enough, so that even in the presence of oxygen, it does not degenerate or discolor the cassava, and that way you are elongating the shelf life.
On the other hand, striga-resistant maize will reduce the cost of production as farmers will use less chemicals in maize production.
Most of the sprays are not effective, and the more we pump into the environment a lot of pesticides, the more we continue polluting our air, polluting our water, and polluting our soils.
Researchers are calling for more biotech funding and sensitization on the need to incorporate genetically modified foods into the country's food system.
Communication is actually very important. If it lags behind policy, it does not support policy decisions, then even the actions are delayed.
Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
The creative economy is expanding rapidly in Africa amid key barriers such as tough visa rules, fragmented markets and weak digital links. How to tackle the challenges is now at the center of discussions in Accra, where leaders are meeting for the first ever Creatives Connect Africa Forum under the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement Secretariat. Trevor Ngendo, who is in Accra, has the details.
Despite being one of the fastest growing cultural powerhouses in the world, Africa's creative industries grapple with restrictive visa regimes, fragmented markets and limited cross-border digital connectivity, obstacles that weaken the continent's ability to fully monetize its talent and cultural capital. Leaders at the Creatives Connect Africa, the inaugural AFCFTA Forum and Festival on Tourism, Culture and Creative Industries in Accra, Ghana, note that there is need to reimagine how African nations can unlock the potential of fashion, film, music and digital storytelling under a unified trade framework.
The kente in Ghana, you never find it in South Africa. The Zulu culture in South Africa, you never find it in Ghana. And this is the soft power of Africa that we have to champion as one unique. And if you look at the Gen Zs, you want immersive experiences. You talk about fashion, you talk about film, you talk about music, you talk about gastronomy, you talk about culture. These are immersive and these are intangible.
Creative industries are exploring more ways of monetizing intellectual property to enable them retain ownership of their work to build sustainable creative enterprises.
We are looking at the creatives to be part of connecting Africa. You know, once the creatives give their stories, then the stories are followed by the people.
The creative sector is the newfound tourism experience in Africa, and that narrative should be championed.
I think we treat talent as labor and not owners. Talent need to become owners. In this space, the world of AI, talent need to own IP.
They called for scaling up of the Pan-African payment and settlement system to enable Africans to pay each other instantly in their own currencies.
As discussions continue, stakeholders say the real test lies in translating these ideas into real actions across the borders. Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News in Accra, Ghana.
Thank you, Trevor Ngenda, for that report. And our U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says Europe should reconsider its rules for big tech companies if it wants to see lower U.S. tariffs rates on its steel and aluminium exports. His comments come as officials from the U.S. and European Union are meeting in Brussels to discuss the status of the trade framework that the two sides agreed in July. Here are the details in our international news.
A deal between the US and European Union in July this year set US tariff rates on European products at 15%, lower than had been threatened in exchange for promises of European investment and changes that would allow in more American agricultural products. But the two sides remain at odds over some parts of the deal. European Union officials hope that they will secure relief for their metal exports as part of the deal. But the US is still charging import duty at 50% and has expanded the number of products subject to the levy. Europe is also hoping to win carve-out tariffs for items such as wine, cheese and pasta. Similar to the rollback the Trump administration recently granted for tropical fruit and coffee. Meanwhile, UK business leaders face a nervous final few days before the Chancellor's second budget. Having borne the brunt of a brutal set of tax hikes this time last year, firms are still reeling from the £25 billion national insurance increase and an inflation-busting rise in the minimum wage. Confidence in boardrooms has grown increasingly fragile as the budget nears. Almost all measures of sentiment among chief executives and finance bosses in the last 6 months have shown alarm bells ringing. Finally, Indian Airlines Air India and Akasa Air have suspended some flights after ash plumes from a volcanic eruption in Ethiopia disrupted operations. Air India said it had cancelled 11 flights on Monday and Tuesday to make precautionary checks on aircraft that had flown over some locations after the eruption. Following a directive to airlines from India's aviation regulator, Akasa says it had rescheduled flights with Middle East destinations such as Jeddah, Kuwait, and Abu Dhabi scheduled during the 2 days. Ethiopia's Haile Gubi volcano sent ash plumes up to 14 kilometers high after erupting on Sunday for the first time in 12,000 years.
We now look at the latest in the sporting scene, and Kenya's veteran deaf athlete David Kipchoge clinched a silver medal in the men's marathon at the Tokyo 2025 Summer Deaf Olympics. Kipchoge crossed the finish line on the Tokyo Expressway in 2 hours, 17 minutes and 30 seconds, finishing behind Sweden's Otto Kigwetz, who won gold in 2 hours, 16 minutes and 10 seconds. Colombia's Jose Librado took bronze in 2 hours, 23 minutes and 50 seconds. In the women's marathon, Kenya missed out on a podium finish after Sarah Kimani and Grancy Kadagor were unable to complete the race. Overall, Kenya concluded the games with 15 medals, including 5 gold, 6 silver and 4 bronze. Kenya's Director of Sports, Jackson Indakwa, congratulated Team Kenya for their strong showing and reaffirmed the Ministry of Sports' commitment to supporting deaf athletes in future competitions.
Go, 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 go Kenya! Go Kenya!
Good one. 銀メダリストケニアデビッド・キプコゲイ・キプトゥーム。
Manchester United suffered a shock 1-0 defeat in the English Premier League after failing to overcome 10-man Everton at Old Trafford last night. Everton's Idrissa Gueye was sent off in the 13th minute for strike despite United's sustained pressure in search of an equaliser. They could not break through, allowing Everton to become the first away side to win a Premier League match. High-profile fixtures head Chelsea face Barcelona.
Oh, he popped out to Bruno on the edge of the penalty area. And now...
That's all the time we had for you this afternoon. This has been KBC Lunchtime News. I'm Doreen Arange. Caroline Njoroge has been our sign language interpreter. Good afternoon.
Want to enjoy free-to-air digital TV with crystal clear quality? Here's how to get started with Signet. Step 1. If you have a smart TV, you're good to go. Next, connect the aerial to your TV. Now, do an auto search on your TV. Just follow the prompts on the screen. And that's it. You're now tuned in to Signet. Sit back and enjoy a wide range of free-to-air digital channels. For technical inquiries, call the Signet hotline on 0770-572-656.
Just want to know, after these 2 years together, are you just going to forget about me?
Director Jiang was here 8 years ago in Sanaa. So the two of them piece it together.
Mimi ni daktari lakini daktari Kevin hapokei simu.
Kama hapatikani unaweza kufanya wewe. Twende.
Siwezi kufanya bila ruhusa ya mkuu Kevin. Hii sheria.
What? He'll die. We can't wait. Hurry up to the transfusion.
It is that beautiful time of the day where we get to let you know what has been happening, matters, entertainment, and to be specific, when we talk about events. How are you?
Welcome to the biggest, the baddest entertainment show right here in the 254, man. Yeah, with me, top 5 most watched Kenyan songs on YouTube is out, and guess what? Number 1.
Ona kile amefanya Mungu.
You already know,
that
man.
is the number 1 most watched song on YouTube. That is a song by Wapendwa Amefanya with 17 million views. Number 2.
Number 2 ni Mpishi Matata featuring Bien.
Yes, that is number 2. And number 3 goes to Donjo Mabe, Donjo.
Don't you my bed, don't you my bed. And then number 4 is Tire by Okello Max.
And that particular song, by the way, blew, especially during that time, Luo Fest. And closing off that list, that is top 5 most watched Kenyan songs on YouTube. Guess ni ngoma gani? Top Sikiri Kali, Backbencher, Tania X-Class. Yes, and that is how we get to start off the show. This is Grapevine.
All right, tonight the stage belongs to an exciting force in modern rumba. A man who has been blending timeless African rhythm with fresh, irresistible groove. I'm talking about the one and only Yaba, the Prince of Rumba Ken. Now with one incredible album and 2 EP already under his belt, Yaba is back again with a brand new EP dubbed Wape Wape, which is a 6-track EP.
Last night was nothing short of spectacular as we pulled up to the Alchemist for Yaba, the Prince of Rumba Ken's EP launch. His brand new project, Wape Wape, a 6-track masterpiece and his 3rd EP. From the moment Yaba stepped on stage, the energy shifted. Looking sharp in a clean, stylish fit, he was clearly ready to serve fans a fresh taste of his evolving sound, and he did not disappoint. Track after track, baada ya kazi, Something, Sema, Wape Wape, Adhiambo, and Mazoea, the EP delivered a polished, modern rumba flavor that this generation and the next will vibe effortlessly. Adhiambo this, Adhiambo that. Adhiambo sumpusa, na unasumpu. The crowd couldn't stop talking about Something and Adhiambo, undeniably the standout tracks of the night. Yaba wasn't alone on this musical journey. Jeff Logan, the dynamic vocalist blending rumba and afropop, tore up the stage with fiery performances, including the fan favorite Shaitani Nitakupiga. He was joined by Latin Kenya, known for weaving in that nostalgic Kapuka feel. Also present on the night and on stage to support Yaba was Coco Abednego from Hat the Band.
dada nimelala mchangani opeki sogo bila samahani usheriki moko wengi watazidi kutusema sema.
Even after Yaba wrapped up his set, the night was far from over. DJ Taurus Mzangala and the ever-charged hype Willie kept the party blazing, spinning tracks that had the crowd on their feet deep into the night. This was a night where music, the vibe, and community aligned perfectly. A true celebration of Rumba King star Yaba. From the Prince of Rumba King, Yaba, allow me to now take you to the launch of Shanga Trails, which highlights the relationship between Kenya and the Czech Republic. And it was all about a celebration between these two cultures woven together in beadwork. Check it out.
My name is Nicole Adamtsova. I am the ambassador of the Czech Republic in Kenya. Shanga Trails, it's very symbolic. First, it's symbolic that the event is taking place in Opportunity Factory, the seat of Sandstorm, because the word opportunity is actually very important, bringing potential and making the potential alive. And also Shanga Trails, Shanga beats, trails. It's not one Shanga, it's a trail. It's a continuous process and continuous partnership.
For the first time, the industry players have come together to tell the story of the women, to tell the story of a country that now beadwork has actually become a business in this country. So we are very excited to partner with them. One, because Sandstorm has been supporting women, around Ngong area, Kona Baridi, and these women are part and parcel of Ushanga Kenya Initiative as one of the cooperatives. So we work with them, Sandstorm, because they support the women in the grassroots areas.
Most of the beads we use are actually made in the Czech Republic, and the country has actually been very, very supportive of our initiative, and we look forward to working with them very, very collaboratively to ensure that the work we do benefits communities on a continuous basis.
The women of this country, and especially the pastoralist areas, have been the custodian of this culture for a long time. So when Kenyans look at it, let them know that it's actually not just a beaded or artwork. It is actually, we tell people that even those women are designers in their own rights. They are able to look at a product, they are able to bead at a product, and the product comes out very nicely and very beautifully. So it is a call for action for all of us to be able to support the women in the industry.
I'm Shemu Mondi Opio. I'm the CEO of Sandstorm, and I'm happy to host this event here today. All our bags are handmade, from cutting to gluing to the actual sewing of the bags. All of it is handmade. We don't have automation. The women groups we work with actually are from the marginalized communities. So the only skill they have is that beading. So we really work hard to give them work so that they can continuously earn a living and keep their children in school. People have a lot of interest in beadwork. It has really impressed me, and seeing the government come in strong through the PS and also the Czech ambassador here in person just to launch this event